Recent headlines shook many across the nation, not simply because of a tragedy, but because of what that tragedy was connected to. Dan Rivera, a 54-year-old paranormal investigator and handler of the infamous Annabelle doll, was found dead in his hotel room during a nationwide haunted tour.
Tonight, tragedy at a stop on the nationwide tour of the supposedly possessed Annabelle doll. One of the doll's handlers found dead in his hotel room at the age of 54.
Annabelle's next stop, guys. Augusta, Maine.
Dan Rivera, a lead investigator for the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPR, had been exhibiting the Annabelle doll around the country. His colleagues now mourning his death, writing, "NESPR is devastated by his passing and is still coming to terms with this profound loss."
While authorities insist there was nothing suspicious about his death, many can't ignore the eerie coincidences and the lore that surrounds this so-called possessed doll. The tragedy revives a pressing question. When does entertainment cross into something far darker? This is not the first time tragedy has followed those who dealt with Annabelle. This sermon is a call for sobriety, a wake-up call to a sleeping generation that has been playing with fire in the name of entertainment. The Annabelle doll is no ordinary toy. While most people remember the porcelain-faced version from Hollywood films, the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll housed at the Warren's Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. The doll was allegedly responsible for multiple supernatural disturbances beginning in the 1970s when it was said to have terrorized two roommates. It reportedly moved on its own, left handwritten notes, and even physically attacked individuals. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famed paranormal investigators who inspired the Conjuring universe, declared that Annabelle was not haunted by a child spirit as some believed, but instead was a conduit for a demonic entity. The Warrens quickly locked her inside a glass case, blessed it with holy water, and surrounded it with crosses for protection. The case bears a warning. Positively, do not open. Over the decades, multiple stories have emerged about people who mocked or disrespected the doll, only to later experience inexplicable misfortunes, including sudden illness, fatal accidents, or extreme psychological torment. Whether one believes all the details or not, the fear surrounding Annabelle is undeniable. Now, thousands of people visit this doll every year, a fact that I will never understand. What draws people to something so steeped in darkness and fear? Is it curiosity? Is it thrill-seeking? Or is it a culture that has become so numb to the spiritual realm that even demonic symbols are treated as roadside attractions? We live in a generation that romanticizes evil, laughs at warnings, and chases experiences that flirt with the supernatural. We live in a world that believes demons are not real. A world that laughs at the idea of a real devil. But let me be clear, there is nothing entertaining about demons. There is nothing humorous about devil. Many people laugh at horror movies. The spiritual world is no joke, and Hollywood has desensitized us to real evil by packaging it as entertainment. Demonic activity has become entertainment. What once would have made people fall to their knees in prayer now barely makes them flinch. With streaming platforms flooded with content glorifying the occult, paranormal, and dark spiritualism, the enemy is having a field day. And Christians, sadly, are often watching right along with the world. Dan Rivera's sudden death is still under investigation, with authorities saying it appears to be natural or accidental. Yet, he's not the first person whose death has been strangely linked to Annabelle. Reports mention another man who laughed at the doll and was later killed in a motorcycle crash. Rivera was a lead investigator for the New England Society for Psychic Research, the same group originally founded by the Warrens. He traveled around the country with the doll, appearing at haunted events and spiritual gatherings. Let us be clear. Dolls are not inherently evil, but demons can use objects as vessels to carry out their influence. The Bible is filled with instances where spirits inhabit places and people and even animals. In Mark 5, Jesus confronts a man possessed by a legion of demons. These demonic spirits begged to be sent into pigs when they were cast out, showing they seek a host. Despite living in a culture that mocks or outright denies the existence of the devil, it's ironic how deeply obsessed that same culture has become with darkness. Satan is often dismissed as fiction, a caricature with horns and a pitchfork, but the media landscape tells a very different story. Streaming services are saturated with horror films, paranormal documentaries, and series drenched in occult imagery. The question must be asked, if we don't believe these things are real, why are we so obsessed with watching them? This cultural fascination isn't accidental. It's a reflection of spiritual blindness. The devil no longer needs to knock loudly. He walks in through the front door, welcomed by millions who call it just a movie. But spiritual doors don't require belief to swing open. They only need access. Attention is permission in the spiritual realm. If we continually give our eyes and ears to darkness, we should not be surprised when that darkness takes root in our minds, emotions, and homes. Hollywood has become one of the devil's most effective pulpits. Films like Hereditary and The Conjuring aren't just fantasy. They're grounded in real-life demonic accounts, real testimonies, real case studies, real rituals. These films glamorize what God calls detestable, and worse still, they often blur the line between fiction and fact. Many horror filmmakers consult actual occultists, mediums, and demonologists to make their content as authentic as possible. That means that people across the globe are unknowingly reciting real incantations, watching reenactments of genuine demonic possessions, and absorbing spiritual poison in the name of entertainment. And then there is The Exorcist. When it was released in 1973, it wasn't merely a blockbuster, it was a spiritual phenomenon. People fainted, others vomited, some left the theaters permanently shaken. A fire mysteriously destroyed parts of the set, except for the room used to film the possession scenes. Multiple cast and crew members died during or after production. Even Billy Graham, a man not known for sensationalism, warned people that a real presence of evil resided within the very film itself. Should this not awaken us? Should this not provoke a holy fear? Yet today, The Exorcist is considered a classic, praised for its cinematography and storytelling, while its spiritual implications are brushed aside. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 does not say we might wrestle against spiritual wickedness. It says we do. Every day, whether we are aware or not. And Satan thrives in ignorance. Let us not be ignorant. Deuteronomy chapter 18 verses 10 to 12 gives a stern warning about those who practice or even entertain the occult. That includes the glamorization of witchcraft, necromancy, and divination. You may not participate physically, but spiritual compromise begins in the heart and the mind. Repeated exposure to evil desensitizes the soul. What once would have sent us into prayer now barely moves us. That is not spiritual growth, it is spiritual erosion. A numb conscience is the playground of the enemy. Satan doesn't need you to cast a spell. He only needs you to laugh at one. He doesn't need you to visit a haunted house. He just needs you to bring haunted themes into your living room, one movie at a time. This is how seeds of deception are planted. Paul tells us in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 to meditate on what is pure, lovely, and true. If your media choices stir fear, anxiety, or fascination with the demonic, it's time to evaluate what you're feeding your spirit. You become what you behold. If you've ever felt spiritually uneasy after watching something, don't ignore it. That check in your spirit is a warning. God's Spirit is trying to protect you from something you may not see, but is nevertheless real. We are not called to blend in with the world. We are called to stand out. We are called to expose darkness, not entertain it. This is not about legalism. It's about holiness. It's about spiritual survival. So let us raise the standard again. Let us be a people who protect our minds, guard our homes, and pursue righteousness. Because what you entertain, you welcome. And what you welcome, you empower.
The biggest deception Satan has ever pulled on mankind is convincing them that he doesn't exist. Many people don't believe in the devil. They think of him as a cartoonish figure with horns and a pitchfork, something out of a Halloween costume. But the Bible paints a very different picture. 1 Peter 5:8 warns us, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." Satan is not a joke. He is real. He is active. And he is seeking to destroy as many people as possible before his time runs out. Satan has an army. He has an organized network of demonic forces, and this organization is hard at work trying to influence and control both you and me. While Satan is not omnipotent, he cannot do everything, nor is he omniscient. He does not know everything, nor is he omnipresent. He cannot be everywhere at once. His organization is so vast that it seems as though he is at work in every part of the world. There are those who claim that Satan has already been chained. That is incorrect. Satan is a real entity, and he uses people to accomplish his purposes. He's powerful, and we should never take him lightly. Ephesians 6:10 says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might." Notice how Paul instructs us to be strong in the Lord, not in ourselves, but in him. If you try to stand against the devil in your own strength, he will tear you apart. He will completely destroy you in ways you never thought possible. Just look at what he did to Job. That's why Paul is very specific. Be strong in the Lord, not in yourself, but in his power. Several times in this passage, Paul commands us to be strong, to stand firm, to take our stand, because we are facing a formidable adversary. Satan is compared to a roaring lion, a fierce dragon, a deceptive angel of light, a cunning serpent, and a ruthless destroyer. He is both strong and subtle. That is why Paul warns us to stand against the wiles of the devil, to be equipped and ready for spiritual battle. Films like The Exorcist are not mere entertainment. They are tools in the enemy's hands. They normalize demonic activity, making it seem like something people can engage with without consequence. But the Bible makes it clear. Demons are real. Possession is real. Spiritual warfare is real. The enemy is not playing games. Isaiah 5:20 warns, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." This verse speaks directly to the cultural phenomenon of reversing moral values and labeling sin as harmless. Treating Satan as a benign or comedic figure undermines the seriousness of his work in the world. Satan's agenda is clear: to kill, steal, and destroy. From the very beginning, he has sought to undermine God's creation and draw humanity away from the truth. John chapter 8, verse 44 tells us that Satan was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Satan works tirelessly to deceive, distract, and lead people astray. Every joke, movie, or story that trivializes Satan's work plays into his hands. Instead of being vigilant, people let their guard down. Instead of resisting the devil, they laugh at him, thinking he's just a fictional character. This is spiritual warfare disguised as entertainment. As followers of Christ, we are called to be discerning and wise in our engagement with culture. The Bible commands us to test all things and hold on to what is good first. Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 19 to 22. It urges us not to conform to the pattern of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds.